morning, this is Newsline. I'm Michael Chigani. Tonight, Alan Zeman on how the tycoons feel about CY Leung running Hong Kong. Thank you, Mr. Alan Zeman, for being on the show. You're the, let me just say, tell the audience who you are. Obviously, they know you. You're the head of Ocean Park, and you're also very heavily involved in Lan Kwai Fong. But you're here today. Also, you were a voter in the small
Correct.
circle chief executive election. Now, the tycoons and the big business, they backed Henry Tang, they wanted Henry Tang, they're not happy with CY Leung as the chief executive. You're in the business circle.
Well, I can tell you, businessmen, tycoons, as you call them.
You're a tycoon.
As you call them, are very pragmatic. Obviously, the race was a very, very difficult race between the three candidates, especially Henry and CY, something that Hong Kong has never seen before. And of course, most of the business people backed Henry Tang. Some obviously.
You did too.
Yes, I did as well. And I worked with Henry for many, many years, and I knew his strengths, and I thought that he was probably the right man to lead Hong Kong up to 2017. CY, on the other hand, I've known for many, many years. You know, he ran a very good campaign. He had some business support, as we saw, but I think in the end he's won the election. Now, businessmen are very pragmatic. We've seen some shift overnight, the day of the election. Some people who had backed Henry had suddenly moved over very, very quickly to back CY. So businessmen are very pragmatic. They know how to work with the system. If CY is now the chief executive, we need to get behind him for Hong Kong's sake.
Can you live with the fact that CY Leung is the chief executive, given that you supported Henry Tang all the way? You weren't among those who switched their votes at the last minute?
You know, I'm a Hong Kong, along with many other of us, we're Hong Kong people, and basically
You even hold a Chinese passport.
even hold a Chinese passport. And as far as I'm concerned, it's very, very important. You know, there's a saying in English, the king is dead, long live the king. And as far as I'm concerned, CY is now the king, is now the anointed one. He won the election, and I think it's important for Hong Kong people to get behind him. I know there's a mistrust at the moment. We see many, many people are suspicious, and how did he win the election? Why did he win? And there's a lot of mud being thrown around at the moment. I believe we need to give him a chance. The most important thing that CY can do at the moment is choose a cabinet that is from all walks of life of Hong Kong. I believe that will be the key to really seeing how good a leader he can
Will
be.
you join his cabinet as an executive counselor?
I have not been asked.
You can be. You qualified because you hold a Chinese
qualify.
passport.
I've not been asked. So it's,
If you were
I
asked,
would
would
have
you
to.
join?
I'd have to think about it. Obviously,
It's something you would turn down or not?
Do you know, I've talked to CY after the election, and I've said, CY, I respect the way you ran the campaign. You know, for me, anything I can do to help Hong Kong, it's important to me that Hong Kong continues to lead, continues to be Asia's world city. There's so much competition today. I'm in China almost every week right now, doing a lot of business in China. The China is moving at such a rapid pace. Even the secondary cities are becoming primary cities. If we get too hung up with the elections and the post-elections and how it was done and why it was done, we lose sight of the big picture. And that's what worries me. So I will do whatever possible. If I'm asked, he knows that he can count on my help. I don't think I would. I would do whatever I could.
Well, there you go. So you may be an executive counselor.
Hopefully not. Hopefully not.
You say, look at the big picture, Alan
Yes.
Zeman. CY Leung was not looking at the big picture when on the day after he got elected, he went to see Donald Tsang for 30 minutes, and then he went to the central government's liaison office
For 90
for over
minutes.
an hour and
Yes.
about an hour and a half. That is not looking at the big picture. Was that stupid of him to go?
You know, I think it depends how you want to read into it.
Would you have advised against it?
I think it's important. Listen, whether we like it or not, we are part of China today. It is one country, two systems, but we are part of China. So we must never forget that. And I think, out of respect, I think it's right that he did go to the liaison office. What was discussed inside for 90 minutes, I have no idea. But I think in essence, out of respect, he went to see Donald, which is, I believe, very, very important. Going to the liaison office, whether it had to be the first day or the second day, he would have to go to see them. And even if it was the second day, people would have criticized.
The second meeting of the day after the election.
But we must understand, we are part of China. I think that I think for CY's sake, and I don't want to tell him how to be the chief executive, I would have probably just tell the people of Hong Kong what we talked about, what was discussed, just so that people will feel at ease. You know, when the big problem at the moment, no, the problem at the moment is people don't trust, and you know, people. First of all, it was a small circle election to start with. I'm very much looking forward to 2017. I think it is very, very important, no matter who the chief executive is. We must have universal suffrage. Only at that point will people be able to relax a bit. At the moment, whoever the chief executive is, everyone will point a finger and say, well, I didn't vote for you, I didn't have the right to vote, so you don't represent me. And that system has to change. And I'm hoping that CY, if there's one thing that he has to do for the sake of future chief executives and the sake of Hong Kong for the future, we must get universal suffrage.
Well, that's promised, apparently. But, you know, you said that it was right for him to go. We're part of China, that he went to the liaison office. People are saying there was no real urgency, that he didn't have to go the very next day. And, you know, Donald Tsang never went, nor did Tung Chee-hwa. So why did he go?
Well, again, I believe that he has an affiliation with them. He felt obliged to go and pay his respects. Whatever was said, I don't know. But you know, I don't have a problem with him going to see the liaison office. I just wish that maybe the public could be advised on what was, on really what went on. People hate secrets, and I think that a lot can be accepted if they came out in the right way and not be so secretive.
Well, you said, you know, maybe he was obliged to them. A lot of people, much of Hong Kong, most of Hong Kong feel that he was obliged to them, in that there's been widely reported that the liaison office had pressured a lot of election committee members. You're an election committee member, pressured them to vote for CY Leung. And the perception now is he went there to thank them.
It's a possibility. As I say,
Were
we
you
don't
pressured?
really know what happened. Was I pressured? I can't really say I was pressured or not pressured. All I can really say is there's been a lot of reports about the liaison office making their rounds and speaking to people who had the right to vote. But I think at the end of the day, it was a secret ballot, and people could say whatever they want to the liaison office and really do what they want in that private box.
Do you
that
believe,
was the good
though?
thing.
You said there was a lot of reports of you know, people asking them to vote one way or the other. Do you believe in those reports?
I've heard a lot of it. I can't say whether it's right, or I know what I can say for myself, but as I say, it's a suggestion, and you don't have to listen. I mean, at the end of the day, look, Li Ka-shing, I respect Li Ka-shing. Li Ka-shing stood up,
Neither did you.
Stayed with Henry Tang from day one, and whether it was right or wrong, just for myself, I believe that I started with Henry, even not knowing about the scandals until they happened beforehand. When they happened, of course, you had to examine the candidates, look at both candidates again. But once you're with the candidate, to me, I felt it was right to go through to the end with him.
Was it meddling, though, Alan Zeman? Was it meddling? You say you don't know whether it's right or wrong. Does the liaison office have a role in an election, which is supposed to be an election of 1,200? Well, 1,200 voters is not really a democratic election to start with.
Exactly.
Did they really have a right or a role to meddle and try to get votes for one or the other candidate?
To be diplomatic, I think at the end of the day, they have their own views, and they have their own views on the candidates. Some people wait to listen to see which way the wind is blowing, and then they make their own decision. The good news is, as I say, the ballots did not have your name on there. And so in the end, you don't have to listen. You can listen to who they think they prefer to see as a candidate, but at the end of the day, you still have the right. And so I respect that from that point. Unlike the nomination ballots, whereby your name was on, people knew who you were. Yes,
but that's not the question. The question, Mr. Zeman, was whether the ballot was secret. Okay, so whoever suggested, you still had your vote. But that's different from whether it was right to meddle in the first place.
Personally, I think that, of course, you're better off not to, just to leave. Both were pro-Beijing candidates.
That's
so
correct.
At the end of the day, it should not really matter to whichever of the candidates wins, because they're both pro-Beijing. For whatever reasons, there was a lot of reports that they were favoring CY, and that's why CY won. But moving beyond that at the moment, I think we have to look to the future. I think it's important for Hong Kong to now get behind. We have CY. He is the nominated candidate. He is the candidate that did win the election. We must get behind him now, and we must make him better. We must pull together. He must put together a team from all walks of life, really to make Hong Kong a better place, the place that we've always known in the past and hopefully into the future.
Okay, we'll pick it up after the break. Don't go away.